Hello, today is Saturday, February 5th, and I got to say, this month is already just like a 180 from January. I really went into January, this was like such a goal, and there was so much structure to it, to making sure that I didn't skip a single day. And in the process, it really did. Part of this is my own, my spiritual practice, and how do I strengthen that? How do I really get in tune um, to myself, like really being my mind and my body and my spirit and everything just connected. And so doing these readings for the month of January really did turn something on, like flip the switch in me that's been really interesting to connect with and align to. And so 5 days into February, I can not react to certain things, and in other areas really understand um, the shifts. And so I can read when I can read, and and hit record and do that. And, last night I was like, well, nope, I'll do it tomorrow during the day when it feels right. And that's just how it's going to be. Like, it's still going to be a daily reading. The structure is just changing a little bit in time. And it's really about listening to myself as I'm moving through this journey. So I really hope that others are doing the same, because it's just fascinating to me. So today's reading from the book is the Peter Pan spread, and I'm going to go ahead and do it because I really like this concept of the conflict between innocence of childhood versus the responsibility of adulthood. So this sort of tug of war that's our universal experience. And so this is going to really be about accessing your inner child, your former dreams, discarded desires, and you can like cultivate more magic, and how we can cultivate more magic in our everyday adult life. So we're going to believe in fairies, clap our hands, and cast the cards. So I'm just going to go ahead, I'm going to pull them and set them up and see if I can fit everything in here. And yeah, it's 9 cards. I think I'm just going to go in a row. I think if I try to make like rows, it's not going to work. So I'm going to go this way. So 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. I think that works. Let's see. I've been doing a bunch of home things today, and it's just been really nice. Just really good energy I'm feeling. And so right now I was like called to come in and do today's reading. All right, let's see. I think that's good. And then I have some I don't know, I was thinking today that I might want to clarify if there's a message that isn't really, really clear. So let's see what we get. So this is our Peter Pan spread. And we're going to talk about like this accessing our inner child, former dreams, discarded desires, and how we can cultivate more magic in our everyday adult life. So this first card here, the 6 of Wands, is, you as a child. And there's it's 6 of Wands. And that's interesting because right next to it, this one is you as an adult. And it's the Justice card. So it's really cool to think about in these terms. So when you think about, let me see, can you see those right there? Yeah. So think about as a child, everything wanting to be about winning. Whatever it was, you had to try to, whether it was getting attention or literally winning something, being number one at something, or anything that was happening. Maybe it was even just how your family, maybe your parents or who you were raised with, just continually, being positive and reaffirming. And so there's just a lot of this energy, whether it was coming from, so whatever your situation was growing up, you were either constantly praised as being like the winner, the best, everything perfect, or you had that grit inside of you that like made you a little scrappier and you wanted to win. So that was really you as a child. Now as an adult, with the Justice card, it says how you've sort of grown into a more balanced, just energy, where maybe sometimes you're not going to be the victor in a situation, but you understand that that's part of life, and that things work best when you're in alignment and in a balance, and not just going for that win at any cost. And that is a pretty I would say, what's interesting, because this is a message we're getting in this collective, and additional, what I'm getting is it, so as the reader, as I'm looking at these cards, I'm gonna have this sense of like, wow, that's really interesting that we would pull like the Six of Wands very like in this question of the like your child, how you were as a child, and then you as an adult. It seems like so perfect to get like a Six of Wands, and then now I've grown up and I'm in this Justice card, and so the message is that ideally that is like the universal message of where we how we want to be able to sort of look back on things, that we had a positive foundation. So if for some reason that isn't your actual experience, and maybe your experience was more embattled, and maybe you really don't, you have inner child, work that you do because you feel like there was something missing there, and as an adult, like you're finally getting your justice. This message from Spirit is that don't view any of those of your childhood experiences as having been losses or having been sacrifices or having been strains. Look at your childhood as a victory because you've survived into adulthood, whatever it is, you've made it here. And so whatever that is, like that energy from Spirit is, you've won. Like as a child, whatever your instance is, you're winning. And as an adult, justice is how you've embodied all of those experiences from childhood into your adult life, and you're very just, and you're about the fairness, and you're in the knowledge that things can't always be 100% in any direction. That's just not true to life and to the messiness of what it means to be human. So in the third spot here, where we have the Tower, the question here, or the assignment to this card would be biggest challenge as a child, and then we have biggest challenge as an adult. So they're all going to be in pairs. So let me just do them like this, because then, this just got even cooler. Hold on. So we're going to go like this, because they're going to work as child and adult and child and adult, and then we have this over here. Okay. So this is going to be challenges, favorite games, what was lost when you grew up, what was gained when you grew up, and then we'll leave that Magician card to what it is when we get there. Okay, so biggest challenge as a child, the Tower. Biggest challenge as an adult, Seven of Cups. I think that's really in line with this too. When you think about, so a challenge like the Tower being so challenging. So for you, moving from the childhood to adulthood was huge. It was just the toppling down. I was just thinking about this. I was watching, my son was watching something. I'm going to forget all the things, but I don't know if it was TikTok or Instagram or YouTube, it was some social media. And it's this person, I think she's like in her early 30s, or she just turned 30. And she's really like chronicling like her life experiences. And it's interesting because we were concentrating more on the reason I even saw it was because it was brought to my attention to look at the comments that people were posting to this person's social media. And so the comments were, I looked you up, like you grew up with a lot of money, like you did all these great things, like, I can't, like, people were really criticizing her putting her life on social media, in her her putting it forward it was very much like, look at me, I'm adulting, right? Like I'm almost, yeah, I think she's like 25 or something, so she's like moving toward, through her 20s, and so she really wants to like chronicle her life and have this, vault to go back and look at of like these early experiences. So everything from learning to cook to grocery shop to how do you, clean your first apartment. Like she's just doing all these little adult situations, but the critique was really personal and really mean spirited, about people criticizing, you don't know the struggle, like you've got everything so great. It just, none of it seemed to match. Like it didn't make sense to her energy. There were a few people that were like, good for you or whatever, but the comments that were like more prominent were just really negative. And this is this energy that I'm telling this whole tangent, anecdote on this person. I can't even direct you to who it was, because it just reminded me of that right now, seeing this Tower and the Seven of Cups, in that for some of us, like, And this is this tower energy that I'm getting for you here as a collective, is that for some, that transition from child to adulthood, like, can really feel like, one, like it went on forever, like your childhood took a long time, and maybe not like literal, but it just, maybe you were, like thinking of those comments, like maybe your family did struggle and you didn't always have food or a place to live, or your family was really well off and then suddenly like a parent lost a job or somebody got hurt, like something, there was something that was unstable. And for some, it's like literal tangible things, emotional things that were unstable. And so that shift in your childhood, those were challenges, and they really have like um rooted themselves, right, in your mind, in your memory, right, in your memories of your experiences of growing up. It's like this real tower energy, right? Like over here, remember we were saying like you as a child were really victorious. So when something shifted, it was so massive, and it could very well have been just the gradual progression of life. And so thinking of that social media commentary thing was because my son and I were talking about how it was mean spirited, the comments, and why would people penalize somebody that's just had a very linear experience. So all of their experiences were in that very like mainstream textbook, you see rom-coms about, like, you're this age, now you're that age, and you're doing all these textbook type of things. And so that can be really annoying and frustrating for somebody that hasn't had that experience. And so here in the message, it's like you as a child, like everything was possible, you were winning, you grow up as an adult, you see justice, like now you see things in a more just way, in a more, balanced way. Things are going to go wrong, things are, you've learned, you've taken energy that's more fleeing, and then you now as an adult are very stable in your energy, in this justice energy. But what's interesting is when we look at your challenge cards, that the longer lasting energy is this tower, versus challenges as an adult are really about these options and opportunities and choices, which as an adult with your just lens, you know how to how to sort of handle this seven of cups. Like you understand that decisions are going to be made, they're going to be balanced out. What choices, what, you're not doing things, abruptly or impulsively. You take your time, you weigh things out, you have lots to look at, you weigh all these different facets and variables and possibilities before you make decisions from this very just lens. As a child, you had this more really, like, I guess, fairy tale way of looking at things, like whatever the reason is, you grew up and you had this very ideal way of like always again, I just keep hearing winning and loved and encouraged. But then there's this tower as a challenge, which is something, and again, for some, the message is something literally happened that shifted that. Again, loss of a parent, loss of a home, loss of parent, losing a job. Like it could be multiple things, battling an illness, just something that really changed this fun sort of spirited dynamic that was still who you were. And so, but being in that tower energy has really grounded itself in who you are. However, as you transition into adulthood, you're able to accept this energy and transform it into this justice, so that you're not just upset, so that there's a moment now where you're able to look back and remember this energy of the Six of Wands, so that you're not moving into adulthood with this heaviness, but it is part of your past and you're aware of it. So it really does seem like that has really taken root. But today you're living in this justice energy, and so you can discern challenges of making decisions. Really, you definitely use discernment to figure those out. But in your challenge, like I said, it's just I keep thinking of that anecdote, because it's that energy I'm feeling where there's something really frustrating to you when you think back on your childhood. Like you're annoyed at these things that really shook everything up and changed something. And so I don't know, like it's interesting. Like it's just I'm getting that feeling of just being really frustrated, like a frustration that this was the challenges were so massive in your childhood, and so as an adult, like I said, it's nice that you've been able to use that and transform it into justice, and so now your challenges are about options and choices and making decisions, and you're very balanced in how you do that. You don't just do them flippantly because of these challenges when you were growing up that really have impacted you. So now, favorite game as a child and favorite game as an adult. So favorite game as a child, you have 8 of Wands, and 6 of Wands as an adult. So it's interesting because it says game, and so I'm getting this sense of like, as a child, I'm being guided to just answer this very literal. So I'm getting that, like, as a child, you love games like tag, and um, you liked running. You liked anything that was moving fast. Maybe you liked and pretend. You liked dressing up and playing pretend or pretending to be someone else, but you really enjoyed those activities that were fast moving. Running, playing game, like playing actual like sports games, like for fun. Maybe like a pickup game at the park with just some friends or with people at the park. Like, oh, let's play softball, let's play soccer, let's play basketball. Like just fast moving energy, really, like you had a lot of energy and you were able to be outside a lot, and you were able to and you liked that. You weren't someone that liked to be cooped up. You liked to be out when you were a kid. You loved things that were moving fast, that there was a lot of like fun energy around them, like creative things, like I said, like tag, where you're maybe jumping rope or coming up with little songs, and all of that. Not like you weren't going to be inside reading a book or doing a puzzle or something. Like you wanted to be on the move. Now, as an adult, the 6 of Swords is much more you're not so much into games. If you are, you're more about like learning about places. You're more about traveling. Before you travel, you really like to be informed of where you're going. Maybe like even when you are planning to travel or anything that you're planning to do. And again, this is games, right? So anything that you're doing as sort of an extra curricular, an activity, a hobby, anything like that that's for entertainment purposes, you like to really think about them. You like to take your time when you're thinking, you like to really think them through, plan them out. You like to be informed of what it is that you're going to be doing. Nothing, like no surprises there. And they need to mean something. They're not just, like when you were a kid and it was just this fast moving energy. As an adult, you're not. It's more steady energy, but very thought out. And you do like variety, though. You don't like to do the same thing over and over. You're continually like leveling it up. So if you were to be like, maybe it's sort of like if you were playing checkers when you were a kid, you play chess, or you like the long lasting game of chess or something. Or if you travel wise, like I could see you wanting to play, like Trivial Pursuit kind of games, and but also like the the seeking of the adventure, but meaningful. So maybe when you go to a new town, if you're traveling, maybe you like finding like is there like a national park or something that they're known for, a monument, a symbol in that place that you want to go and check out when you visit. And so then like that's where how you'll plan your trips or your adventures. Like the games now as an adult mean something, and they're not done quickly. You take your time to plan them, go to and figure them out. So even if it were an actual game, it wouldn't just be like, you would be you like maybe planning a game night, and so inviting certain people and letting them know what the game is going to be, so people can look forward to doing that. So that's really again, really like the juxtaposition of each item, whether it's who you were, what were challenges in these games. There's just this very grown up energy that you like, an awareness that where you've shifted your mindset from being a child, like this awareness of this is how I was because I was a kid, And again, we can't ignore this tower in the challenge, right? So something that, really um, shook you in a way that as an adult, you're very balanced. You see things very just. You don't just make decisions, um, sort of impulsively. You're decisive, but you take your time for figuring things out, down to playing games and just being easygoing and laid back and hanging out, like anything, even in that space. You're going to plan how it's going to be. You're going to fit it into your day. You're not just going to go out and just do it, you know um, without a thought process. So very mature um, energy in that sense. So, what was lost when you grew up, and what was gained when you grew up? So, what was lost? The Chariot. What was gained? The Seven of Pentacles. So, it's interesting because, as a child, you had that Six of Wands, which is all victory, and, you know, um, so achieving the goal, and getting to the finish line and winning, all of those things. That was that energy, right? Like I said, it seems very brought on as a child based on your environment and also what you were being told, which is a really great energy to be in. Now as an adult, it's like you lost that in the Chariot sense. So the six is like a pip card, like it's a much more fleeing energy, right? So when we look at major arcana cards, we tend to look at them and give them more of a, if we're looking at cards through time portals, right? We might say that a 1 through 10 card has an energy of like minutes to hours, maybe days, whereas court cards, knights and queens and kings would be maybe weeks to months, but major arcanas are like months to years to decades. Like it's just a longer energy. So if as a child you're the Six of Wands, what you lose as an adult is that wanting to win at all costs, like getting to the finish line no matter what. Like it really, I'm really hearing that. And this is for this reading. I'm getting the sense that ego is and pride are really tied to you as a child. And because again, like when we're kids, there's this energy again with that Six of Wands, like at all costs you want to do XYZ. And so while it's a six and it's kind of fleeing, right? You step into this justice, much slower, longer paced energy. But what you lost, it's interesting because as a Chariot, which is a major arcana card, really tells us here that you did embody that Six of Wands over your whole childhood. So maybe as you got older, maybe like Six of Wands in kindergarten versus Chariot in high school or something, where it really starts to define like your ability, almost like I'm getting this like peaking at 18 or something, where this Six of Wands energy was really like so big that it turns into this Chariot card. So as an adult, you lose that, but I'm really getting the sense that you like outgrew it to leave it behind for a more this justice energy and this Seven of Pentacles, which is an energy like you've gained patience, you've gained perspective, you've gained the perspective that shows you that some things just take a long, like the process is worth the journey. It's not the outcome, it's not the finish line, it's not the victory, the parade that you're going to get for doing something great. It's about the process, about the journey, about really being balanced and fair and aware of the process and of life, just every day being present. And so again, it does not surprise me to have this Six of Wands, this Tower, this Eight of Wands, this Chariot, all in your position of your childhood, of you as a child. So it's just all over, right? So much emotion, like so much, and a lot of pride, a lot of ego, a lot of just a lot of emotion and energy in that sense of like time seemed to move too slow and yet too fast, and things were shifting hard. And when things change, like when you lose this, as it says, or you shift out of this Chariot, I'm sure it could have felt like this massive tower, but what you step into as an adult has been this justice energy, this justice for being able to be aware and grateful and appreciative of having options and choices, and not taking those lightly, and really weighing out how you make decisions, really being in your thoughts about taking your time and really planning things out and growing things and being patient and knowing that if you plant something and you take care of it, if you do, you sow, you'll reap the reward of it. And so just in that awareness is really nice to see that. I think it's funny because I have this side message that's saying like, this is how we all want to be able to look back and sort of speak of our experiences. Really speaks to an alignment of our energy, that we can be aware that when we were kids, it was a little all over the place, and our energy was up and down and high. We're moving, we're doing, we're just so much. And then that shifts, and there's this moment where that comes down. And what now takes root is we can look back at all of that, be really aware and present to say, some stuff was bad and some stuff was great and some stuff was traumatic and challenging and all of these things, but I made it. I won, right? Like I got through my own childhood in spite of myself or my surroundings. And now I'm this adult who sees that, and I have I have hindsight, right? I can look back and be really grateful and happy and take it all in. And so now as an adult, I can really stand in balance and full alignment of myself, and that allows me to be be in, like, look, you have heart space, you have mental body space, we have root energy, like I can be in full alignment of all of those parts because I can take them all into my scales. And so every decision, every action I take, every seed I plant is from a place of full alignment and full balance as I take those next steps. It's amazing. Like, I think for some it'll resonate, for others it's like the takeaway is like, that's our Peter Pan spread, right? This is a huge message from Spirit of how we, do a meditation today and really take the message in. And if it doesn't actually resonate with your personal experiences, let it be a blueprint of how, you can, starting today, start to work on that alignment, because it's a beautiful, like, it's like, I would say it is our it's, at least I know it's my goal, it's my vision of like wanting to live that way. And so I think that's the really a more general message for everybody would be to take that away of how we can aspire to be present and live in that moment. So the final card is, what magic remains constant? And how cool that you got the Magician. I mean, the Magician is the embodiment. Look, there's the four. We have a wand, a pentacle, a sword, and a cup, and the infinity symbol, running through everything. And he's standing, in front of this, like, green. I mean, it's a planet. It's a moon. There's this. Maybe it's a magic ball. Maybe it's a crystal ball. The symbolism of this particular card. So the magic that remains constant is that all of these things are here for you, right? That is the magic that's always constant, is that weaving through of all of the energies that are available to us that we embody, right? We're made up of all of these. We're made up of wand energy, which is passionate and creative and innovative and very action oriented, and we're cup energy, and that's very, water. It's fluid, it's love, it's emotion, it's empathy, it's compassion. The swords, it's this very mental clarity, being clear in our thoughts and not letting our thoughts, not overthinking things, but just being very clear in what we see and how we speak those words that are being influenced and come and are, I shouldn't even say influenced, but that are being, that our words come from the balance of all of that: creativity, passion, love, empathy, compassion, all of that. And then we have the mental acumen to be able to speak with clarity, and our thoughts come in with clarity. And then the ultimate, that infinity, that infinite power from that crown, right? Where we connect all of our energies directly to source, to spirit, to our highest good, our highest energetic vibration that we all have access to. That is the constant magic that you have had from the day you were born to this present. And so in this Peter Pan spread, we can see how there's this very clear division between how you view yourself. And again, the term child can be at any time when you see that. So where you see that child, inner child, and, like accessing what that inner child was to, you know, who you are and how you can cultivate and access all of this energy as an adult. And so in between, you can see where maybe some things were discarded. But see, even here in challenges, you had this big shift. And I do think it's that transition from childhood to adulthood, but you didn't discard your dreams, or you didn't you don't have like former dreams or discarded dreams. You just had all of them, and you started just making decisions from a place of awareness. And so it's really cool to see that what you still have today from like this past, that how do you bridge all of this? It's the magician. So you have the power, and the power within you to still determine any of these outcomes. And if you're following the storyline here, you are living that way in a very very balanced, very self-aware, very present energy. So no need here for any clarifiers. I'm going to stop there. This is a really cool reading. I hope you enjoyed it, and I will see you tomorrow.